Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fringe Coverage. This podcast profiles the stories, swings, and stars of the LPGA Tour. And whether you're new to women's golf or a longtime fan, hopefully this podcast helps you develop your own rooting interest in women's professional golf. And here we are, we have done it, fans. For those of you that have been with us, today marks the 1 year anniversary of the very first episode of Fringe Coverage. And with me today, my fellow Fringie, Tom. Did you ever get this far in your dreams?
Absolutely not. I thought this was going to be like maybe a few weeks, maybe a month, a year. This year's flown by. It does not feel like we've been doing this for a year.
Well, and if we want to do technicalities, of course, there were a few fledgling episodes without you. So we're not quite celebrating your anniversary yet of when you joined the show. So if you want to believe those late July, early August months didn't happen, episodes didn't happen, I'm okay with that. But this is the birth of Fringe Coverage. We're going to break down a lot of stuff later on, but what are some of the takeaways you have from a year of podcasting about a sport you knew nothing about 12 months ago?
I'm surprised how deep I dove into this, because when you told me that you wanted to do this, I said, yeah, I mean, I know a few people here and there, and I think this will be a fun thing to do with my buddy Mark. But eventually, like, I'm catching myself, waking up at 5 a.m. so I can watch a tournament on a Saturday before I have to go shuffle off to some kid's sporting event. I'm watching the leaderboard while I'm at said sporting event, or I'm at work on a Thursday or Friday morning checking leaderboards. I am having a blast learning about all this stuff, and I'm still like in the infant stages of learning about the LPGA. I'm well aware of that, but I still probably know more than 95% of the public. It's been a super good time, and I'm also, the thing that surprises me the most is how, I don't want to say easy, but how willing these players are to come onto the podcast and talk shop with us. And that has been like the most refreshing and just best part of this is just getting to know these personalities and learning about these players and having just like real conversations and not always about golf, but what's your favorite pizza topping? And like, now I know what Olivia Cowan likes on her pizza, like just silly stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that gets me excited.
Yeah, that human element is really lacking in a lot of professional sports, right? There seems to be a pretty large buffer between us and NBA athletes or even PGA Tour athletes for that matter. Like there's not many public avenues to learn about them personally, nor necessarily do they want to, right? They're public figures, and I'm sure they'd love some privacy of their own. But you're right, that accessibility that the LPGA athletes are providing, certainly to us, has been incredibly refreshing. And I was thinking about this morning when we started this. I think if you had said, like, what would have been just pie in the sky achievement, I would have said doing it for 3 months. Like truly, it felt like a funny hobby on the side. But like truly, my answer would have been like, if I could have ever got an LPGA athlete on this of name recognition, like I think that would have been probably far beyond anything I would have expected of two yahoos that have no connection to the tour. Certainly we don't have connections. We don't know all these people on the side, so it was easy to bring them on. I never really saw this happening, and it's all for the reasons you just said. Is the LPGA knows they are currently in a state where they need to do everything they can to promote their sport, and hopefully we're doing something to elevate that and give them the opportunity to tell fans who they are more than just when they're between the ropes. But yeah, we've had some moments here, and we'll talk about some of the fun moments later on. But we've had some moments here that I'm not sure I ever really expected, including we went to a women's major earlier this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you and I go on sports trips all the time. The women's golf major would have never been on our radar 12, 18 months ago.
Mark, if you Google what's the best LPGA podcast, like what are the top 3 results?
Well, I'm sure the top one is one that hasn't run since last November. Inside the LPGA hasn't even run since then.
Yeah, it's very weird.
So, yeah, like, totally.
That's not something that I ever, that wasn't in my my wildest dreams that this was going to be something that was going to take off for us. But I'm still having a great time with you.
I think that's the most refreshing thing for me is how fun it has been the entire time. Like I enjoy having a hobby. I enjoy the work. Like remember, folks, this is not our day job, but we sure treat it like it sometimes with agendas and emails and all sorts of things. But it is such a fitting time to have our 1 year episode. We are recording this, just so everyone knows, we are recording this the week of the Scottish Open. So we're a full week before the AIG Women's Open. Today we are going to preview the AIG Women's Open. We've got some travel conflicts next week. So we're actually just coming off of the men's final major of the year, the Open Championship, where Ryan Fox just won on the 72nd hole, which was amazing viewing and just really just got me excited to watch more links golf when the women tee it up here, both at the Scottish and at the AIG Women's
Open. Shout out
Open.
to the dad bods out there.
Yeah. Ryan Fox, not your typical looking golfer, 39 years old. Awesome win. Saw a really cool clip of Lydia Ko, who's also from New Zealand, reach out to him and FaceTime and like right after the tournament. I think we'll repost that here in a second just for people to see. But love seeing men's and women's golf overlap there. But it's more coffee golf for us here on the West Coast of the United States to be able to watch early morning golf, and we're going to get to do it here over the next couple weeks. So, because we started all of this right on the heels of last year when Grace Kim had her miracle finish at Evian, and then Lottie came in as a betting favorite to the AIG last year after she was, 2 tournaments into being a professional. Like so much was happening at the LPGA level 12 months ago. And now we kind of have a full year of majors under our belt and looking. So we'll see. I'll be really curious to see how our picks are a year later. I would hope maybe we have a little bit more knowledge to back this up. So with that, like I said, we are going to preview the AIG Women's Open. We're going to do a little bit of LPGA news and notes because some stuff has happened. At this point, you will have heard our interview last week with Olivia Cowan, which, man, that was one of the more fun interviews we've done in the last year, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. She was delightful.
For sure. So we do have some news and notes to cover that have happened in the last couple weeks, and we'll do some award check-ins now that we're on the 5th and final major of the year. And then we are going to talk a little bit about our year in review, and I'm going to ask you a few questions about some players, and I'm sure you've got some questions as well. So let's start the AIG Women's Open, July 30th through August 2nd, the 5th and final major of the year. This year, again, this tournament is on a rotation. Every year it goes to a new course. There's usually about a 5 to 7 course rotation that this goes on. This year we are going to Royal Lytham St Annes in Northwest England. This course with conditions, man, would absolutely destroy us. I don't think we would sniff 130 or 140 if there were conditions. It's a super tight golf course, but if you catch conditions there, this could, if there are conditions, we could see a somewhere barely above under par score winning for the week. The defending champion for this tournament is Miyu Yamashita. Last year she won the AIG. So she'll be coming back. This is a $10 million purse, which is actually one of the smaller purses of those 5 majors after the arms race this year. I'm half expecting AIG to make an announcement in the middle of tournament week saying, hey, we're going to increase the purse. But I mentioned it's a really tight, claustrophobic golf course. This is a course that the long hitters may lose their advantage because this course very notably is known for how many bunkers it has on the course. There are over 175 bunkers on this course, Tom.
So when you wrote that on the rundown, I had to Google it because I thought it was a typo.
No.
That's about 10 bunkers a hole?
Yeah. Their fairway bunkers are placed incredibly strategically, and this is why I say the distance advantage is going to get lost. There are bunkers that none of the women can carry, or will it be worth to try and carry? So now all of the short hitters are going to be brought into this a little bit more. It's why last year Miyu Yamashita was so competitive and won the AIG. She's one of the shorter hitters, but she's also one of the top 3 most accurate drivers on tour. So fairways are going to be at a premium, but those bunkers are so perfectly placed that if you're just slightly offline, you will be hitting those bunkers, and it's going to negate your choice. There's going to be a lot of should I hit driver, 3-wood, or iron, as opposed to just pull the lumber and rip it. I love that style of golf.
I mean, you and I have definitely played on courses where I feel like there were, bunkers all over the place, but that's just probably poor conditions on our end. Now, I'm not very familiar with this course. I'm looking at, are these bunkers that could be one big bunker that they're cutting into like 2 or 3? Or...
No. So this is it's link style golf. It's all known as pot bunkers. So these are not long, expansive bunkers. These are, if you go in them, they are incredibly penal. They bring in the word hazard the way a sand trap is supposed to be thought of, not just like an easy shot out of it. If you hit one of these bunkers, they have incredibly high lips. You won't be able to go for the green, so you're going to have to pitch out. So there is incredibly, incredibly penal to get in those bunkers, as opposed to being in the States, hitting it in a long, wide bunker, then you can still have an approach shot to the green. More often than not, you will not be able to reach the green from these fairway bunkers. So yeah, again, it's going to be a crazy week of people having to decide which club to hit, whether or not they want to take on those bunkers and the potential penalty that comes with it. It makes you wonder with someone like Nelly, who's significantly longer, if she will be able to clear some of those bunkers. But I do think those shorter hitters are going to be brought into play, whereas some other stateside tournaments might put them at a disadvantage. Some of you'll love the first hole is a par 3. It's just very, very different. And it is a punch you in the face depending on the wind direction that day. Like, you better come out striping your irons, because you're going to get exposed real fast on a windy day if you're not swinging it.
I don't even think I've ever played like a full course where the first hole is a par 3. That's weird. You know, you always kind of have first hole jitters. And if I can get rid of a driver on the first hole and not have to use that, keep that one in my bag, I kind of like that. Again,
we're going to get to our picks in a little bit, but this will be a very interesting one to handicap, because I think the whole field is really, no one is really at a disadvantage here. Just kind of a fun note. So like most majors, there are qualifiers. So in addition to all the people who get their exemptions because of their Rolex rankings or because they've won a tournament this year, there's a couple other ways to make your way into the AIG Women's Open, including kind of a two-step process of qualifying. There's some early pre-qualifiers that were held early to mid-July. At time of recording, we've got through the pre-recording and we still have final qualifying, which is the week of the AIG. So the pre-qualifiers were July 13th, and I saw this and I just wanted to flag it. Going into that, there were 18 spots available, and 13 people tied for the final 3 spots of those 18. So there was a 13-player playoff. I actually don't even know the mechanics of that, of whether they send them off in 3 foursomes or if they all play together and there's 13 balls spread across the fairway. We need to look into this, because either way, it's fascinating to me. Because if you get broken up into different groups, the pressure doesn't mount as much because you're not seeing what everybody's doing. Yeah. So I want to go back and see how many holes they had to play to get to those 3 spots of those 13.
I want to see somebody putting with 12 ball markers on the green.
Right. Do you need me to move this? Just creating windows for each other.
Here's a question I surprised has never come up. What if like the cut line is like you have like 20 people tied at it at some point? Like, because usually the cut line is you take about half of the field out for Saturday.
Are you talking about qualifiers or for a tournament?
Just a regular tournament.
Yeah, so it's always like each tournament lists it slightly different. It's always between 60 and 70, but like a typical LPGA tournament will be top 65 in ties. So that's what the cut line is. So that's why it's never 65 people. It's always like 74 because there were 9 people tied at it. So it's top 65 in ties. It's just a matter of anyone who is on that cut line advances. There's no playoffs for it. You just have to hit it on the number. That's why the cut is always such a moving target over the course of the day, because it depends how many people are above and below it. So there's times where if someone sinks a birdie on 18, it could knock an entire grouping of people below the cut line. Yeah. Based on how many people advanced. That's why Friday afternoons can be pretty volatile at times. So we did that pre-qual. The qualifiers are now Monday, July 27th. So probably when this is dropping, actually, this episode. Talk about a frenetic week, right? The Monday of AIG week, you got to play a qualifier, which is not far from Royal Lytham. And then if you make it, you now have to get your butt over there because now you need to start doing practice rounds and everything else. So a pretty frenetic yet fun way to make your way into a major. So, Tom, every major, we've kind of had a similar approach to what are the biggest storylines. And obviously they become pretty player specific. So I'm going to twist that a little bit. What I was thinking of doing is There's a lot of interesting storylines that have developed over the course of the year. Obviously, the most notable is we have two players with two majors. So with Nelly having won the first two and Heyron winning the next two, we do have the opportunity for this to be the rubber match for them. But I was thinking we should look at the AIG of let's just do a heads up game here. I'm going to give you two players and let's kind of talk through who you got and why. So let's start right there. We've got Nelly, who is currently leading all of the player of the year and scoring average races, with Heyron starting to nip at her heels a little bit because she's come off two straight major victories. Who do you have heads up this week between those two?
This is the headliner. This is the heavyweight match. Yeah, so Nelly, she's got the better scoring average, but Heyron's hot. She's coming into this, I would hope in her mind that she's the favorite, because she's the one who's been putting things together the last few weeks. I would still give the edge to Nelly a little bit just because she's been more consistently doing this for a while now. I would love for this to be the final pairing on Sunday. I mean, that's what AIG really is probably, super excited that they got a rubber match, like you said. That would be the ultimate way to finish this.
For sure. I like Heyron's floor better than Nelly's in this. I think links golf still gives Nelly fits at times. We just came off an event where she was not comfortable at Evian, and Evian is not links golf by any stretch, but I think when we leave the States, Nelly's game changes a little bit. Nelly has been competitive in the Scottish Open before. I really like Heyron's iron play right now. And Nelly's iron play is going to be on display too, because long irons will become important, and Nelly hits long irons better than most. So I think this is going to be really, really close. So I'll take Heyron for sake of a fun head-to-head battle to start. Okay, here's the next one for you. You got Charley Hull and Lottie Woad going head-to-head. I would love to see them paired up. Man, the fans would just eat that up if they got to follow those two over the weekend. Who do you like there?
I think that they can't pair those up. I think that nobody would follow any other group at that point. That would just be that would be the bottleneck. I think Lottie's trending in the right direction. Not to give away any picks for a future segment here, but I think Lottie is probably one of the betting favorites for this tournament. She's looking good the last few weeks, and I think she's got a great chance to win this tournament.
I mean, she's only played in the AIG twice. Last year, her first major as a professional, she finished tied for 8th. The year before, she finished as the low amateur and finished tied for 10th. I mean, she's only played in it twice. She has 2 top 10s to speak of. That's a pretty nice place to start from. And then just current form, her last 6 majors, she's got 3 top 10s. That's, again, this time last year, Lottie had just turned pro. Charley's got that bridesmaid thing going on. She keeps finishing up second, third, T5, and that window does feel like it's closing. And I always wonder, is the major you want the most the one you're least likely to win? Charley, without a question, wants this major more than anything else. She grew up playing links golf. It's her favorite style of golf. She's a huge Seve fan. Everything about Charley screams links golf, and she always puts a premium on this event. So close to winning a couple years ago at Walton Heath. You just wonder how much pressure she puts on herself. I don't think Lottie's putting a ton of pressure on herself, at least in the same way that Charley is at this point in their respective careers. I think I'm with you on this one. I think this year's AIG Women's Open, I'm going to take Lottie head-to-head against Charley. I have a feeling they're not going to be more than 5 places apart by the end of the week, though. I would be shocked if they're both not top 20. And you might even, I would be willing to take a parlay bet that they're both top 10.
I would think that Lottie's probably in the same boat where this is probably the tournament that she wants to win the most.
No doubt.
It'd be interesting to kind of poll these players to see which of the majors is the most full to them.
Yeah.
You would just assume that the British players are probably more interested in winning this tournament. And I wonder if that actually is the case.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone saying, I really want the Chevron or the Evian. I think you pretty quickly gets narrowed down to, I don't even think anyone says they want to win the KPMG Women's PGA. It's going to be either this tournament or the U.S. Women's Open, depending on the course. So I have a feeling real quickly it'd be maybe a rubber match between those two. Okay, here's a fun one. Super close friends on and off the course, both having decent stretches of golf right now. Number 2 player in the world, Gino Titicun, who this time last year had just taken over the number 1 ranking in the world, listening back to some of our early stuff, against good friend Ronning Yin. Who you got there heads up?
Man, do I want to pull for Gino so bad. I was close to picking her last.
Remember, she doesn't have to win. This is just heads up against Ronnie.
I know. I want Gino. This is my heart picking. This is not my head. I'm pulling for Gino. I would really hate for her to just feel like this entire season was a bust by not winning any majors. So I'm gonna go with Gino on this one.
I'm going to take Ronnie just because I love her long iron game, and I think that's going to be at a premium here. I'm with you where my heart is. Yeah, Gino just hasn't proven it, man. And now it must be so hard to go from a certain style of golf for most of the year and then just switch and go play links golf, which is just not similar. Two of the hotter players on tour in majors over the last couple months. Obviously, Brooke Henderson has played really well and played with Aaron in the final group the last couple majors. Gabby Lopez was hunting majors the front half of the season. Who you got heads up on a links course between Brooke Henderson and Gabby Lopez?
I feel like Brooke is one of the hottest golfers in the past couple months. I don't know if you saw big news. Brooke just got engaged.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Nelly after she got engaged, Mark? Started playing more freely, started really, putting her game together. I'm going Brooke on this one.
I'm going to go with Gabby on this one just because I think she's still smarting from her performance at Evian. She was playing really good major golf and I think late by her standards laid an egg there. So I think Gabby gets off the horse on this one. Don't have a ton of stats to back the one. I don't know how either one of them do on link style play. And then last one, I got to do it to you. Aki versus Chizzy.
Chizzy hasn't had a very good season. She's kind of been letting down the Titans, not pulling her weight. Aki came so close. I'm going Aki, but I'm rooting for you, Chizzy.
Man, if I'm Chizzy, I want off your team at this point. You tried to openly trade me publicly 2 weeks ago. You offered me up for my sister. Now you're not even there. Now you're not even choosing me heads up against my sister in the final major of the year. And you said I'd let everyone down this year. She played really well the first half of this season compared to Aki. So
not everyone, just the Titans.
Man, it's a high bar to be at the Titans, but it must be nice to have players that score points consistently.
I wonder if siblings have ever been traded for each other in any major sport. This might be the first time, and you shut it down.
Yeah. I'm glad. Well, I just, I have such commitment to my players. Yeah, I definitely got Aki. I think she really, really showed herself to be able to hit the shots at Evian with weird lies. Again, we're going to get to a firsthand view of how they play links golf, but I just figured those are some fun ways to look at at storylines and some of the best players. Anything else, any players we haven't listed that you're interested to see how they perform this week?
So this is our last major. Who do you think who would consider their season a disappointment if she does not win a major this year?
There's a couple, and I think we've listed the top two. Gino for sure. I don't know that Gino has the personality to say this season is a disappointment. She has a really level head on her shoulders and very much enjoys being out there. I think in her heart of hearts, she's really putting stock into winning majors because as the number 2 player in the world, that's kind of the thing she hasn't done. But I think right on her heels is Charley. Charley's been on tour longer and has sniffed around a ton and has put herself in position. She always has a really kind of average round that maybe takes her out of it and then a really aggressive round, like shoots a 65 or something to get back into it. I really want to see her shoot like 68 to start and just have her name towards the top of the leaderboard the first half of the week. Outside of that, I'm not sure there's anybody that has risen to the level of major expectation. There's certainly lots of good players like the Ronning Yins and the Hyoju Kims. I was thinking about Hyoju earlier. Talk about the forgotten woman. You remember how she was it the first half of this season? She was taking down Nelly every week. She was winning consecutive tournaments. We haven't mentioned Hyoju in over a month.
I think that, yes, she was definitely trending toward getting a major. I mean, winning 2 weeks in a row and still kind of really pushing Nelly at the beginning of the season. Didn't really get over that bar and win any of the majors to start the season. I'm hoping that she can at least, top 10, top 5 here. She's kind of fallen off a little bit, but to your point earlier, she's not the biggest driver, and this might be the course for her then.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It definitely will bring her back into the mix. As a disclaimer here, Tom and I are going to make our picks for the AIG Women's Open. We have not yet played the Scottish Open, but Tom, here's what I figure we do. Obviously, the winner of the Scottish will get preference of who they get first. So here's what I think we should do today. We should both give our first pick. And if we are both going after the same person, we should publicly list our backup now with the results of the Scottish not being able to impact it. Whoever we say today as our first and second choices will get it. Does that work for you?
Works for me.
Okay, so I'll go first with, if I have the honor next week, I will go with Lottie Wode. I really wanted to think about Charley, but she's off the table for me because I selected her to win the KPMG, which is probably my worst pick of the year, just thinking about where her game's going to shine. But Lottie's only played the AIG twice. She got a top 10 and eighth place and a 10th place in her two finishes. I mentioned earlier she's finished at top 10 in 3 of her last 6 majors. Playing really good golf, was the 36-hole leader at Evian, is sniffing around everywhere. We're in the part of the schedule where she really went off last year. Again, she won the Scottish this time last year. We'll see how she does here. So I really like Lottie this week. Before I go any further, Tom, do you have a different first pick, or are you fishing in the same pond?
No, I wanted Lottie as well. I thought Lottie, sounds like this course really sets up nicely for her. And which just makes the Scottish pick way more important because you and I both really want Lottie. I'm going into the season, if you were to tell me that I would have picked 5 players for majors and none of them would be Charley or Gino, that'd be kind of surprising to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of not really been in the cards for them. But yeah, I think I'm going to go Lottie too if I get that first pick.
Tom, who will be your backup pick should you not get Lottie?
I'm going Brooke Henderson.
Whoa.
Yeah. She's just been trending in the right direction. She's been playing really well the last few weeks. And I think that, it doesn't seem like pressure's really getting to her. I mean, that round that she put together at the AIG was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I got you. The Evian.
Was insane. And it just took a really good start from Hayron and just a steady finish from her. Otherwise, we would be talking about Brooke probably being one of the favorites in this tournament. So yeah, I'm going Brooke.
Okay. I'm going to go with the defending champ. I'm going to go with Miyu Yamashita. Miyu has, in her last 2 majors, finished tied for 4th, tied for 12th. She is the defending champ of AIG, so she has proven she can play links golf. And again, back to the course profile, she's one of the shortest hitters on tour. She is the 2nd most accurate driver on tour, Tom. She is hitting 81% of her fairways. This Open is going, again, conditions or not, is going to put a premium on finding fairways. And Miyu kind of has a recipe. You realize Miyu was a rookie last year? She won Rookie of the Year. And I'm talking about her as being my backup pick to be a defending champion of the AIG. That's some pretty heady territory. So I really like her as a pretty high floor pick I think if she has a bad week, she's top 25. So, okay. Both on record with Lottie as the first choice, and then depending on the Scottish pick, one of us will take that backup happily.
Man, no Charley or Gino. That's surprising me that I actually say that part out loud.
Yeah, I mean, did I fire a Gino bullet last time? Was that my pick for Evian?
Your last 2 were Charley and Gino.
Man, I went chalk this year, that's for sure. You go back I think Ronning Yin was probably my furthest down pick, but obviously you hit Nelly, I hit Nelly. You got it correctly. I mean, did you have any others that you hit?
Hannah Green came T7 to Nelly.
Okay, but no other winners. Nelly's our only winner pick that we got right this year for majors.
Yeah, neither of us picked Hayron. So, and Helen Bream didn't get it done for me last time.
Yeah, I appreciated the swing you took, though. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about other LPGA news and notes. So, in addition to this being the last major of the year, this is also the last qualifying event for European players to get points for the Solheim Cup. So we're going to do a Solheim Cup preview. Again, Solheim Cup is in September. We will do a full preview episode. But after this week's AIG Women's Open, the automatic qualifiers will be locked. So again, the top 2 from the Ladies European Tour in terms of standings will automatically get spots, which at the time of recording, I believe is Chiara Tamberlini and Charley Hull. And then the next 6 or 7 on the Rolex rankings get locked spots. So there is some volatility at the bottom of that list. Obviously, there will be the Lotties and people like that will have their spots locked up. So this is the last chance for some people to earn their way into auto bid. It is also the last big point opportunity for those people hoping to get a pick from Captain Nordquist. And then just for context, we wait another couple weeks for the U.S. team to lock their auto qualifiers. That's after the CPKC up in Canada. After that event, the U.S. top 9 will be locked again based off of Solheim Cup points and roll rankings. So just another thing that they're playing for this week. Award check-ins as we hit the 5th major of the year. The obvious one, the Annika Award, which is the top major performer of the year, is probably a good place to start. Nelly and Heyron are really close on this one because, again, this is only points awarded for major finishes, and first place gets a certain amount, second place, etc. Nelly has a 6-point lead, which is nothing in this. So she has 126 points. Heyron has 120. No one else is within shouting distance, obviously, because they have 2 major wins apiece. I think if someone beats the other by more than 5 or 6 places in the standings, and I think they're going to take it. So that's way up for grabs. Those two are also battling for Rolex Player of the Year. Nelly has a much better lead in that one because of the additional wins she has this year outside of the majors. But Heyron's within shouting distance if she did something amazing at AIG. Rookie of the Year, yours and mine, one of our favorite ones to track. This has been kind of sneaky quiet this year, man. Last year we kind of knew the Miyus and Rios. This year it's Erica Hara. It has had 3 top 10s as a rookie this year. She has 366 points, followed closely by Yumin Huang, who you remember last year won as a non-LPGA member and deferred her rookie year membership to this year. She is within shouting distance of her as well. And then Nastasia Nadal is from France is there at 224. She had a very nice showing at Evian. So that's kind of your final chase there. Just a note, 4th place, Fringe Coverage alum Melanie Green. So really, really nice season for Melanie. And then the VAR trophy, this for scoring average, no surprise there. Nelly's leading the way. Her scoring average for the year is 68.6, dude. She's sub 69. I think that'll be the second best scoring average ever, only to Gino last year, I think. Heyron's mid 69s, and then Hyoju is only 10ths of a point behind Heyron. So those are all, again, some of those are Hall of Fame point earning accolades. So as Nelly nears the threshold, these are a couple different ways she might clip off a couple more points and make her way into the Hall of Fame by season's end.
I'm a big fan of awards based on actual statistics.
Yeah.
There's no voting. This is just, hey, you did something well, and we all see that, and you get an award for that. I feel like more sports should do stuff like that. Like in hockey, they'll give a trophy for the most points scored or the most goals or the best goalie tandem. That's the kind of stuff I like. Give me more awards. I'm definitely a sucker for that. I'm the guy who will sit and actually watch the ESPYs. That's me. But I enjoy it. I like seeing athletes do a really good job and get awards. I don't know.
I agree with the stats-based stuff with one glaring exception: the Fringies.
Oh, of course. I'm sorry. That's the important one.
That's our season-ending award show. Stay tuned for late December when Tom and I will do our Fringies awards. And then last thing, just a live check-in. We haven't really talked about this a whole lot this year, man, just because it's such a dynamic thing early in the season. Everyone is playing to be in the top 60 at the end of the year, because at the end of the year, the race to CME Group Tour Championship happens in Florida, and the top 60 players in the world based on CME points, again, 2026 season points only, make their way to that event, which has a $4 million purse, which Gino has won each of the last 2 years. There's still a lot of volatility in the season, so by no means are any of these standings baked, but there are some notables inside and outside the top 60. Ina Yoon is number 9 in CME this year. She has not won. She has not, but she has played really well in majors, and we saw her, sniff around a couple of those Sunday leaderboards. So really surprised to see her that high up. Allison Lee, again, fresh off maternity leave, hasn't even played a full season. She's up to 28th this season. She has not played a lot, but she has maximized her points in the starts that she has. And then your girl, Yana Wilson, 34th as a rookie. Again, nowhere to be seen in the Louis Suggs Rookie of the Year. I think there might be something about the Dow Championship that she didn't get a lot of points for because it was a shared team event.
Right, even though she won, yeah.
Right. I think otherwise she would have been way higher up. But, being 34, ranked 34 in the top 60, talk about a comfortable place for a rookie to make their way to Florida. Really impressive stuff. And then just outside the top 60, I flagged a couple names that are kind of perennial favorites and people that are really chasing majors and maybe find themselves on the wrong side of this year. Rose Zhang, currently 62. Lynn Grant, 63. Andrea Lee, a Solheim Cupper, 67. Lilia Vu, down to 88. A former Marks Masher, Yalimi No, at 93. And then Megan King at 97. Here's the reason I will put a finer point on some of those names. Rose Zhang, Andrea Lee, Lilia Vu, Yalimi No, Megan King, all U.S. Solheim Cup players in the last few years, and none of them are in the top 60 in the world right now. No, I take that back. In the CME season ranking. So not playing great going into a team event where you want them to be playing great. Don't love that list of Americans right there.
I know that's got to be tough for Captain Stanford. Like, how do you it would be nice for you just to go, hey, yeah, these are obviously my locks, but there aren't too many locks anymore. I mean, you can go down the list of the Americans, and I did this a couple of weeks ago to try to figure out who I think would be on the Solheim Cup. There are not many that you are just like, oh yeah, you're a for sure lock based on where you are in the rankings.
Yeah, AIG is going to certainly influence this. I think the big thing is Megan King falling out in the Rolex rankings as well. She's dropped behind a few people. So Megan's at that point where, while she's a great kind of locker room presence, she's not played her way onto the team. She's going to have to rely on a pick, at least as we sit here right now. So again, we'll do a full Solheim Cup preview. We'll even try to make some projections on who we think Coach Stanford will select. Two other notes for you. First off, what is up with Angel Yin? We have not talked about Angel. I drafted her knowing she was going to be my second best player behind Gino all year. Shoe in, don't even need to think about it. Was so excited to get her when I got her in our draft. I was looking at her results because I feel like I just wasn't seeing any results. And by that, I mean not playing. She played the Mizuho, which ended on May 7th. She didn't play again until the U.S. Women's Open at Riviera on June 4th, a full month off, meaning there were a couple off weeks already built in there, but she skipped Kroger and ShopRite. Kroger's a pretty popular player tournament to go to. She misses the cut at that U.S. Women's Open in early June. She kind of played the hit and giggle Dow event with Julie Inkster, who was, in her 60s, and they're very good friends. And they played decent, actually, all things considered. But then her next event was the women's KPMG, the third major of the year. She withdrew after 2 rounds because she was sick, which apparently the illness came out of nowhere. She didn't play at the Evian with no news surrounding it. It sounded like there was just residual fallout from the illness she contracted at KPMG. She's not, as of time recording, she's not in the field for the Scottish Open. I think she's listed as in the field for the AIG, but this is one of those things where I wish the LPGA was more in the public spotlight, because we would maybe get more people asking questions, sniffing around saying, where the heck is Angel? Because this question actually comes out of strictly a place of concern. This is one of the best players in the world, and we're just straight up not seeing her. So, I mean, for her sake and for health's sake, I really hope she's okay, because she's an amazing personality for the tour. She's obviously a very good golfer, but it is a bummer not to have her just in the general discourse of this tour.
Yeah, we followed her for a little bit at the U.S. Open, and yeah, she was fun. She looked like she was having a great time, looked to be, healthy and enjoying herself. And yeah, it was a bummer she missed the cut. And, out of a patriotic part of me, I hope she is feeling all right and she can actually compete for the Solheim Cup. Hopefully she can play her way into fighting shape and actually come out and help out the team. Yeah, all the best to her. She was one of the first players that you did a deep dive on, and
That's right.
I really liked her after that. So hopefully she's feeling all right soon.
Well, if I need to take the L on this and take the blame, I will. Like you said, we did it. She was one of my first player spotlights. I wonder if we get to a point where we're talking about whether whether Angel will remove herself from Solheim Cup selection if she's not playing well. Because I do think Angel understands the gravity of that event. And like Madeline Saxon says, like, you don't want to go to that event if you're not playing well. I imagine Angel would have a similar approach to that. So something to keep an eye on as is whether she even plays in upcoming events, and certainly because she will be an auto pick. She has enough points banked from last year that I don't know if mathematically she can fall out of the auto picks, but if it gets a point to Coach Stanford picks, I think Angel may be in danger of missing it just because she doesn't have a resume to back it. So
and it's one of those things where, like, if you can bank enough points at the beginning of the season and then you just fall off a cliff, but maybe you still are an auto, do you say, hey, I know you don't want me on this team. I know that I'm only on this team because of how I performed at the beginning of the season. I hope that doesn't come. I hope it doesn't come down to that. I hope that's not actually the case. But
Well, and remember, Tom, Solheim Cups are a 2-year roll point system. Like these points go back since the last Solheim Cup was played. It's a 2-year rolling thing. It's why Angel still sits so high, because Angel finished top 15 in 4 majors last year. So she banked all these points. So it's not even just the beginning of 2026. She is riding 2025 hard because, as I just said, she hasn't even played. She's played golf twice in the last 3 months. Yeah. So, I would hope people have some good self-awareness that if they're not playing good golf and they think they're going to be an anchor, they can call it that. But it's also one of the largest honors in the LPGA is to play in the Solheim Cup, and it's hard to pass that up knowing it only comes every 2 years. Sure. So if your competitive window is closing, which I'm not saying Angels is, but it's a consideration. Last thing I saw, Tom, it's been kind of dancing around social media, teased left and right. Charley Hull is coming out with her own YouTube channel. She and her best friend Ryan, who apparently the two of them are just comedic gold. They play money games all the time, and someone has played with them enough has said, like, you guys got to put this on, like, out for the public because they will eat it up. Because Charley alone is just a walking highlight reel. You just don't know what's going to come out of her mouth. And by the way, her golf is amazing. So Charley's teased a couple things this week that the first video for her YouTube channel is coming soon. So I don't really know if I have a take there, but sign me the you-know-what up.
My only take is I just hope this doesn't distract from her actual performance on the course and her drive to compete in more events, because she already doesn't compete in very many events. Now, if this is going to end up taking away more of her time, I'm not crazy about that. But more Charley in the world is good. Less Charley on the LPGA Tour is not.
Yeah, you don't want this to become the Bryson thing, right? You don't want YouTube to be their day job but Charley plays with Ryan every week. Like, this is just something they're already doing, so now it's a matter of just having a camera on it. She's not going to be like us editing her own content. She's going to go play golf, someone's going to film it, and they're going to figure out what the best content is. So I would hope that, again, because it's not Charley Hull run, she's not the production agency behind it. It's just Charley being Charley. To your point, hopefully it's something that doesn't impact her golf results. So, and what a better way to launch it than to get a win at the AIG Women's Open. Could you imagine?
I'd love it.
What a world.
So, Mark, I created a little game, a little test, some trivia for you, some Fringe Coverage history. And I want to see how you're going to perform on this.
Okay.
So, first we're going to start. I would love to see how good you are at this. July 30th was our first episode. Could you tell me what the Rolex rankings looked like on July 30th, 2025?
How deep?
Top 5 if you could. Top 10 would be incredible.
So it was at that moment that she was going from number 2 to number 1. So I can't remember if I started recording right before or right after that. So I'm going to say Gino 1, Nelly 2. Ooh, that's interesting. This time last year, maybe Lydia was still maybe in top 5 because of her British win. Those are the top 3 I can think of. And then I would say maybe there was a Ronnie Yin sighting, maybe in 4th or 5th.
Fire, Mark. You're on fire.
Who am I missing? Number what?
Nelly, Gino, Lydia, Ronnie.
Angel Yin?
Angel Yin was 6th.
Oh, who's 5?
Minji Lee.
Oh, man, my apologies, Minji. I should have known that one. Okay.
Still, hey, impressive. Hyeron Yu, Hyoju Kim, Maya Stark, and then Mao Saigo. Round up the top
all
10.
riding their major victories. That makes sense.
All right, Mark. I got some questions for you here. All I need from you is a number.
Okay.
All right. How many episodes into this podcast did it take for you before you announced your name?
My name?
Yeah, because I don't know if you remember, you didn't say, hi, my name is Mark. You just kept talking and talking.
Sounds about right. All of that sounds about right. 5.
Episode 4.
Oh, okay.
The best episode.
So I went a month.
The debut of Tom. In the entire run of Fringe Coverage, how many player interviews have we done?
Oh, players, not interviews. Player interviews.
Player interviews.
Okay. Gabby would have been our first player. In no particular order, we had Gabby, and then early we had some run of Charley, Brooke Matthews, Gurleen, Haley, Melanie, Madeline, Hannah, Olivia are more recent.
Let me give you a hint. One more current player and two former players.
Okay. Angela Stanford. Who's the other former player I'm forgetting?
Your favorite, Mel Reed.
Oh, man. I have these all in buckets in my head now of like media, and I could probably do them by that, but you're right. And who else did I forget in my list of
Major
players?
winner? Does that help?
No, we've had a few.
Allison Corpuz.
Nice. All right.
All right, so 12
Good list.
total. Not
Good
bad.
list.
How many non-player interviews have we done?
1, 2. Well, is Grant count for 1 or 2 since we've done him
I'm
twice?
going 2 for Grant.
So
The GOAT.
2 Grant Poon, Peter Campbell, Mel Reed is what I would call a non-player interview. Big Randy from No Laying Up, Bjorn Kreutzer from Callaway, Mike Wan from the USGA. I'm missing another one. Who am I missing?
Just one. Justin Ray.
Justin Ray, one of the early ones. That's right. Shout out,
Yeah.
J. Ray.
How many player deep dives have we done?
Oh, man, that was short-lived. 4?
6. We did Charlie, Gino, Angel, Grace, Lydia, Lottie. Oh, and the 2 best ones, Marc and Tom.
Those are player profiles, not deep dives.
How many different players have won an official LPGA event since the inception of this podcast?
So we've basically had a full season. Let's go 24.
36.
Whoa.
Yeah. Last question, Mark. The toughest one. How many people did you contemplate inviting to be your co-host before you settled on me?
13.
13. Easiest one to answer.
You were the first one. I've told this story before. When I released the first podcast, I hadn't told anyone I was even thinking about doing it, much less recording it, finding a way to publish it online. I didn't know how to do any of this a year ago. Talk about a skill set that I now have, like audio editing, which shout out to your microphone the first like 3 months we had. That's a tough listen if you guys want to go back and see what we were working with early equipment days. As soon as I recorded that first episode, I sent you and you only a text message saying, hey man, I'm super nervous about this. I want honest feedback on it. What do you think? And you were the only person for at least a week and a half that I told about it. I published it into the ether and didn't do anything about it, didn't promote it, didn't have a YouTube or a Instagram handle or anything like that. Yeah, I didn't put my name on it apparently for 4 episodes, but you gave me very, very constructive feedback of what you liked, what you didn't like, what to be careful of as a man talking about women's sports. And you could tell your feedback was the type of person that was going to be listening, was going to have similar thoughts. And like I said from the jump, probably within the first week, I said, there's no way this is going to go long term without a co-host, just because I talk way too much as it is with a co-host. And we could just see how much it was going to be real boring, real fast for one guy, because you can't develop personality with one person just being a reporter of the news. So you were the only person I consider to have join.
While we're fluffing each other, you do an incredible job on this podcast.
Stop.
I know this isn't what this segment's about, Mark. I understand that. I'm going
to cut it. So go ahead.
I'm not going to go too crazy with this. You know, you obviously, this is a very big passion of yours, and I love seeing people being passionate about something. I don't care what it is. Like if it's stamp collecting or, you know, really anything. Just if somebody finds something that they really enjoy doing, I love seeing somebody dive headfirst into it and really give it their all. And that's always so important to me when I consume any kind of media. I mean, even if, you know, to compare this to an LPGA player, like somebody who puts the time and effort to really be good at a craft is impressive to me. And that always stands out as something that it's very admirable. I mean, the amount of editing you do, because my mic absolutely sucks, is like the most important. That part is just above and beyond. You all out there have no idea. But yeah, shout out to Mark. 1 year in. Mark, do you have anybody like on your wish list of people that we really need, that you want to interview for a year 2?
It's funny. I was going to ask you a similar question, but just kind of generically speaking, what's next? Again, I think we're in a very different spot than I would have expected to be a year, and with all those 12 players in 12 months that you just rattled off. And I think that's probably a total of like 20-ish interviews when you go through all the non-players that you counted there. So I think there's some probably expectation setting adjustments that need to happen. But when I think about what's next, we're still in the echo chamber. We're still talking about the LPGA to a short list of people who have found their way to us through probably traditional LPGA channels. People that like how the LPGA are listening to us, which is awesome. Like, I love that there's not a lot of podcasts out there about the LPGA, so I'm glad we're providing that for the people that are seeking it out. My biggest wish for 2026, the second half of this year and beyond, is to start bringing in non-traditional LPGA celebrities that have an interest in talking with us about this, with this specific intent of using their platform to help get this podcast more exposure, not for selfish reasons, but for people to realize the LPGA is worth talking about. The example is, I don't just want Nelly Korda and LeBron James exchanging text messages where no one sees it. I want LeBron James to come on here and talk about why he actually takes the time to watch. And that's an extreme reach, right? I want Rory McIlroy on here. I want Max Homa on here. I want people who have been traditionally outspoken. It's a lot to ask of someone whose job is to play golf, talk about their own golf, their own tour, and say, hey, why don't you take a week off and an hour off and come talk to us about the women's game? That's a very non-traditional ask, but I would hope that people realize that their platforms are very important, and the women's game, as long as a small group of women are talking about a small women's sport, it's going to stay there. That's why the WNBA has had their Caitlin Clark moment, and they've had people in the public sector talking about it. Men need to do their part, specifically men that have a platform to do it. We're two guys that like this and have no platform whatsoever. So we have a couple hundred people following us on social media because we don't have a budget to promote this. So the way we always grow followers is when our LPGA athletes with their followings repost this and reshare this. Just think about the reach that Olivia Cowan could get if this was being amplified beyond just us. So I think pie in the sky it would be for this to have a much broader reach. We're in the exact opposite place I thought we would be. I thought we would be struggling to get talent. I thought we would be struggling to get interviews, and we'd be like, what do we talk about each week? We can't just keep saying so-and-so won by 3 at the CPKC, and next week we can't just do recap preview. I think we've certainly surprised me with our creativity of different content each week. But it's nice to have the consistency of a tour to back you, of knowing you can always fall back on the next tournament to talk about and have some consistent content. But we have our content is way better than I ever expected it to, because we have so many people, to your point that you said at the outset of this episode, the LPGA and its players has made themselves very accessible. But we could interview Craig Kessler today. It would not increase our viewership, because there's only so many people who care about what the LPGA commissioner has to say. That's what we need to work on.
LeBron James, come on the podcast. I don't care what team you're joining next season. We won't even ask you about that.
We won't even ask about basketball.
Rory, I'm not going to ask you about Bryson. I want to ask you how you feel about the AIG. Come on over.
Yeah. Tommy Fleetwood. We won't ask you about, are you going to bring the trophy home at Royal Birkdale? We're going to say, what do you think of Lottie Woad?
That would be fun. Yeah.
Right? Again, I'm putting the emails out there. Know that I'm trying. But LeBronJames@gmail.com hasn't responded yet. Yeah. What about you? Is there anything, just in terms of a more specific answer to your question is there a short list of a person or a profile that you'd like to have on?
Pretty much everything you said. I would love to have somebody like Alex Morgan on, who's
that's a great one.
She's outspoken about the LPGA. I think she's involved in the WTGL?
Yeah.
So, even if we can get an Alex Morgan or Serena Williams, somebody who's just like a titan in their own sport, to come over and talk about the LPGA just because they're a fan, that would be incredible. I mean, really just something as simple as go to the LPGA Instagram, look at all the famous people who follow this and see if they're actual fans of the LPGA. I hope it's not just like, let me follow it to see what's going on. Like, if they actually are interested in this and actually do pay attention, that would be great for the sport.
I've got another good goal for the year. One in-person player interview. So setting up at a tournament, going on a media day or something like that and carving out time. Again, we don't necessarily have all of the setup for it, but we could figure it out between now and then. I think that would be a fun one too. Because again, I think the next thing is audio content only goes so far, and watching a YouTube video of you and me in this Zoom frame right now is only so exciting. So maybe something on a golf course would be fun at some point. All right, Tom, I got a couple questions for you before we get out of here. Of all the people we've interviewed, who would you most want to go grab a beer with?
Big Randy.
Nice. I think excellent answer.
I think he would be the most fun. Probably take a few beers to actually get him to open up a little bit, just because of how tall he is. But he just seems like a super fun guy. I mean, you and I have had a couple interactions with him.
Yeah.
He's super down to earth. He's a lot of fun to just kind of BS with.
Yeah.
I think he would probably be a little bit less guarded than an actual player would be. So yeah.
I mean, technically, Tom, you have had beers with Big Randy when we were with him at the U.S. Women's Open at that after party event.
Yes, that's interesting.
So check that off your list. Congratulations. Mine would be. Do you know who mine would be?
Mel Reed.
Hell yeah, man. He's so sick. There's no bigger chiller out there than Mel. Like, just such good, authentic conversation. That was, when I started writing these questions for you, I'm like, I'm going to give my answer on this one because this is the easiest one to answer. Was there anyone you were particularly nervous to interview, or did they all kind of have the same for you?
Well, so Grant Boone was our first interview, and that was, I had never really interviewed anybody.
Yeah.
Aside from like my grandparents for a fifth grade history project. That was something that I thought would be way more daunting than it actually was. He was so just disarming and was just so willing to share whatever he had, and he still is, and he's been one of our biggest advocates on this podcast. So forever, Grant the GOAT. I would say Charley was also pretty intimidating because it happened so quickly. You're like, you called me, and you don't call me ever. You called me, you said, Tom, we have 15 minutes. We're interviewing Charley in a couple days. Are you good with that? I said, yeah, let's do it. I'm in. And she was very much like, hey, I got a little bit of time. You named your daughter after me, so I feel like I kind of have to.
She didn't say that.
No, she didn't say that. But yes, she was probably the one I was most nervous to speak with. And also she was ranked third in the world at the time, right? So
I mean, she was in a car in between naps, woke up for our episode because she was on a long drive between tournaments. Like that will probably be the most nervous I will ever be, because obviously it's my favorite golfer. And we had 15 minutes, and we were so new to interviewing that we didn't really have what questions are hitting really well. And Charley is such a loose cannon that it's like, man, I would ask her such different questions than anybody else. So to curate a list for someone who is as long-winded as me, for me to figure out how to maximize 15 minutes of Charley was just a mental exercise of brevity. That was something I was not comfortable with, but Charley brought it. I mean, she had some of the best takes. She had more takes in those 15 minutes than some of our did with a full hour interview. So Charley did not disappoint. Speaking of takes, best takes, whether it's an individual take you could think of, who had some of the best takes on our pod that we're willing to share?
Best takes. I do love that. I loved Olivia Cowan's coffee takes.
Yes.
I didn't love the take, but I loved the willingness to give the take about Chipotle sucking.
Gerlane.
Which every time I drive by Chipotle, I go, Chipotle sucks? I mean, I like it, but yeah, anyway. And I loved Madeline's outlook on pro-ams. I thought that was just so great. Her takes about all that, just like, this is part of your job. You get out there and you go play them, and you put on a smile and you do your best, because these are the people writing your checks.
You listed all of mine, and the other shout out I would give in the Olivia Cowan interview we just did last week was her take on understanding why calling the LPGA relatable isn't as endearing as you think it is. Like, listeners, if there's one thing I wish you listened to in the last year of these podcasts, it's Olivia Cowan talking about relatability, because it's a word I have used on this podcast, and it's something that I almost going to refer to as a 4-letter word now moving forward, of hearing the perspective of an LPGA golfer of what it is they hear when that statement is said was really eye-opening for me. And it's very easy just to brush that off as an LPGA player and not address it. I really appreciated Olivia's candor really throughout that entire interview, but specifically that quote for we interviewed her a couple weeks ago now, that's been living rent free in the dome of mine here. overall, we talked about takes, best quotes for me, just like body of work interview, Madeline Sackstrom. Like I think she nailed it. Anyone else come to mind for you of just entire interview?
Mike Wan. I really enjoyed talking to him and just seeing somebody who's just at the pinnacle of their career and having such reverence for everybody and really understanding the stepping stones that got him to where he was and just being so appreciative of everyone who got him to where he was. That was something that I really want to instill in my kids and in myself. Not too late for myself too. Like I said in the past, I instituted that thank you letter thing that he's done. I know you have as well on this podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like the littlest thing, but actually, writing a thank you letter to somebody and handing it to them, I think, goes leaps and bounds.
All right. Last question for you. Maybe one of the more obvious ones. Who would you most want to play a round of golf with?
I think Haley Cooper would be a lot of fun to play with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that is a good one.
She just seems to be having a great time, no matter what she's doing. If she's on the golf course, if she's at home, if she's out with her friends, just always having a good time. I'm sure that the social media thing kind of has something to do with it. You don't post the times when you're not having a good time. But when we spoke to her, what I enjoyed the most was the stuff off camera. When we were just talking about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and socks, like that kind of stuff, I find hilarious. If I remember correctly, I think Haley had some incredibly accurate takes on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
She did. I was thinking about this most want to play golf with question, and me, my favorite interaction with people is like the people that can take it and like dish it and take it. And I was thinking, who would that be? I'm going to put Charley aside just because Charley's my answer to all of these questions, right? So this is like the non-Charley category. Mine's a tie of Gabby Ruffles and Brooke Matthews. Gabby, like, again, back to the off-air stuff, like she was our first interview and we were jabbing at each other before we even got on there. Just, she's a SoCal girl, obviously spent a lot of time in Australia, but you could just tell, like, even just with her interactions with her brother Ryan on his YouTube channel, like, they like to talk shit. I think that would be an incredibly fun round of golf if everyone approached it like, hey, we're just buds, like, let's have fun. I think Gabby would be an ultimate hang. And also, Brooke was so chill. I remember you and I walking away from that interview being like, man, we talked to her at the time. She had that just a hole in one and one, turned down the Lambo, and everything was just fun. And you could tell she loved money games and was playing with her friends in her off time, and hadn't been on tour that long, had a really good context had gone from the Epson tour up, down, up. Like, she kind of had some interesting perspective and humility about the process that she was really appreciating where she was. Not had a great season so far. Another kiss of death that we put on someone this year. Brooke Matthews was nowhere to be seen. I was really hoping to see her on a Solheim Cup team this year. But Gabby and Brooke, sign me up. You, me, Gabby, and Brooke, there's an all-time foursome right there.
Done. I'm in. Speaking of Solheim Cup, shout out to Captain Stanford, because her interview was also really fun, and she was so willing to just tell us. We kind of walked in and we were like, hey, we're not going to be too intrusive. We're not going to ask you about who you're going to pick. We're not going to put you on the spot. And she was willing to play ball. She's like, I'll answer any questions you have for me. That's totally fine. And she goes, and after the team's announced, have me back and I'll tell you even more stuff. So, yeah.
Tommy boy, this has been an awesome year. If nothing else, we've joked about this and said it on air at times. Like, it has been a forced conversation. We don't call each other on the phone ever. We talk to each other now once a week on this pod. It's kind of been a fun way to see friends. It's been a hobby I didn't know I wanted as a 41-year-old man who haven't really been building hobbies anytime recently. So really appreciate you doing this with me, and cannot wait for see what the next 12 months bring.
I tell all of our mutual friends, I said, if you want to actually talk to Mark, just start a podcast with him, because you'll get all you want and more.
It's the only way. It's the only way.
If you have any suggestions for players or topics to discuss on this podcast, send us an email at fringecoverage@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at FringeCoveragePod. And whether you're approaching from the fairway or the rough, we got you covered inside the fringe.